And I thank you for having this. You guys are just phenomenal. And here's what I really love, because I get to talk to people of the LDS Church. Oh, well, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, okay? Because we have the rest of the story, which is really phenomenal. So we know all the bad things that are happening, but we get to know what's really happening, right? And so I don't hold back, I still testify, because my job is to testify. And this is one of the main purposes, I think, that the Lord told me I have to do this. This is where you're going to learn something, okay? So now you're going to learn something. And it's because, like I said, everybody has these experiences for reasons, right? So the reason...
Excuse me, Shawna.
Yes.
How is it you and your video survived that? Especially the video. Why did they not contact
Well, let me explain this. What happened, and this is why it's so hard to get through this presentation, is because there's so much, right? So what happened is, after I get out of the vehicle, because I have a broken foot, right? And I have to put the camera down. So when I slide down, when we got to the road, when we're traveling down the road, and then you hear the shots hit, it's because they have a dead man's kill. They have a kill zone here. There are 2 vehicles going this way and 1 back this way. They got these vehicles because they knew that we were coming. Remember, they took us to a place where they knew there was no cell service. That's when they hit us, and they knew this was going to happen. So they shot at us directly at the first stop to push us into the kill zone, okay? So I can't tell you that because we're out of time, but let me tell you, because of these experiences, how I learned that God told me there's 5 steps back to the Constitution. And my presentation is, I want you to understand the Magna Carta, because if we're going to talk about the Founding Fathers real quick, how much time do I have?
Well,
okay. I don't want y'all to fall asleep and die. Maybe we should take a break, but I need to tell you. So what happens is he teaches me because he sends somebody else there to help me, right? And it's all about 5 steps back to the Constitution. And it's when you believe in the Constitution, when you know by Scripture, okay, that God told us that he saved these special people to be the Founding Fathers, to bring us this Constitution. But we had a law, and there was a law, and this is my part 1. I'm going to show that to you really quick. And, okay, it's called the Magna Carta, okay?
Isn't the bar something with
British Accredited Registry.
Yes.
Okay, so that if you...
nothing to do with America.
Nothing.
Yep.
That's allegiance to the crown, they're foreign agents.
Yes.
Okay, so the reason I'm telling you about the Magna Carta is this. This was the law of the land, okay? And it started in 1215, on June the 15th of 1215, and was signed because, oops, I gotta turn my thing on, maybe. Okay, how many of you ever watched the movie called Braveheart?
Yes.
Okay, that is a historical movie. That talks about how the people in England, okay, it was King John, who created what they called the Knight of the Lords. And they had the people in Scotland as slaves, sort of. It was a slavery, right? And they could do whatever they wanted to. And so the people in Scotland were having the same issues that we have in America today. There was child trafficking, there was sex trafficking. What happened is they had a law. And it said if a man has a wife and children, she has no rights, right? And so if the husband dies, whatever he had to pay off all the debts, right? Well, they'd just take everything he owned. They would take the wife, and she would be given to whoever they wanted to. And they would take the children, and they would either become slaves or given to whoever they wanted to. That was what was happening back then. And so that was the law. They had no rights. So when they capture King John, so the Scottish, William Wallace says, no, we're not doing this, because he created what was the last straw, was when he created the Knight of the Lords. And in this movie they talk about that. How that when on the wedding night of the Scottish, they would send in one of their knights to sleep with the bride on the first night, right? And so they were so mad about this that you can't vote a king out of office. Yeah. So how do you get rid of a king? Got to cut his head off, right? Historically, that's the only way you can get rid of a king. So they capture King John and they say, we're going to cut your head off. And he's a wimpy little gay guy, and he goes, no, whatever you want. And he says, I'll give the power to the church to draw up a contract. I mean, whatever you want to do, I'm good with that. Just don't kill me. And he says, I'll sign it. But he gives the power to the church to draw the contract. Now, there's only one church in the world at the time. Who is it? The Roman Catholic Church. So the Pope draws up the contract, which is now called the Magna Carta. Okay, it's 1215. I want you to do your homework. Read the Magna Carta. I highlighted some of the most important things because, let's go back over King. King John was another Norman king and is perhaps the most evil king England would ever know. The people describe John as a wicked, evil king, that even hell was fouled by the presence of John. John was a massive taxation king. Those who could not pay their taxes found themselves in jeopardy of prison, mutilation, and even execution. Okay, so this talks about the history of all of it. It comes even back to let's see, where are we at? 1297, Henry's son Edward, confirming it part of the English statute law, and it becomes common law at that point in 1297. It becomes what they call common law, all right? So this is a little history. Go through this. So let's go through this. Those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat its mistakes. You've heard that before, right? So is it important that we know our history? Yes. Very much so, okay? The Founding Fathers warned us of many things that would take place. Like, and you can read, well, you can't see this. Here's the deal. Once I teach you all these classes, here's what I do. I say, you bring me your flash drive. After you've been through all 5 classes, give me a flash drive. I will download all this presentation for you so that you don't have to take a million notes and so that you'll have this information because I want you to teach it. I'm here to teach you to teach, okay? So that you will know, these are all the things they warned you. We warned you of the dangers of excessive taxation. Now you labor nearly 6 months of the year to pay taxes at all levels, and your economy suffocates under this cruel burden. Remember, we did this presentation probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Okay, it's 2016. So anyway, we warned you of the dangers of a private central bank, the Fed, and a debt-based monetary system. Now you drown in credit card debt as you lose your homes to foreclosure. That's coming. We warned you to obey the Constitution because power corrupts. Now a secretive government can spy on you and detain you at will under the guise of national security. I'm going to flip through this quicker. There's a difference between us, William Wallace says. You think the people of this land exist to provide you with position. I think your position exists to provide those people with freedom, and I go to make sure that they have it. Okay, so the Declaration of Independence. This is major, people. The Declaration of Independence was one of the very first important things that the Founding Fathers gave us. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Okay, this is what I want you to pay close attention to. All experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. How many of you wear a mask? How many are being vaccinated? Because you are not righting the wrong. You are bowing down and allow that to happen. I hate to say this, but this is exactly what's happening to the people. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Did God give us the Constitution?
How do we do this?
I'm going to show you. He has, okay.
Is it on the paper or?
It's not on that one. That's the Magna Carta. This one you haven't. How many of you have a Constitution? Did you bring a Constitution with you? Okay, we need to have them. I'm thinking this. Let me see if I have some in here. You should have this because I have to go into the next section. Somebody's going to have to read. Okay. So I don't have enough for everybody here, but I got to have somebody read this because I'll give it to somebody who wants to read.
Yeah, I
You
can't read.
You can't read?
No.
Well, you want to read? Okay.
I mean, I can,
So,
but I just don't think I should.
okay, good. No, you do it because I have more than one. All right. I'm going to skip through this first part really fast, only because here's what I'm going to do. When you read this Magna Carta that I've given you, you're going to discover that these were the same problems that they had back then. And the laws in the United States come from, in the Admiralty courts, are actually derived from the Magna Carta. That's where they came from. So I need you to read this.
Fringe on the flag is.
We're gonna-
Admiralty law comes from the Magna Carta?
Absolutely. Admiralty law comes from Magna Carta. Now, they didn't do it correctly. This is when I was standing at the top of the refuge, okay? So what happens, and these are, I don't know if I can go through all this. Okay, so the very most important thing that they got from the Magna Carta, the most important thing for them was what? Freedom of elections. What just happened to us?
Yeah.
Stolen, okay? It's been over many years, but this is now it's been opened up, right? So now we absolutely see. But that was their most important thing, was to make sure that we had representation. Now, which is considered most important, most necessary, which charter both we ourselves shall observe, and we shall that it be observed with good faith by our heirs, what? Forever. So this Magna Carta should be a contract in its entirety forever for our heirs. Okay, was so important that people don't know because they don't want you to know this is how they dumbed you down. You didn't study this in school. You were never taught about the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta. Let's talk about the founding fathers. Where did they come from? Great Britain, England, right? What law did they have? The Magna Carta. So what do? God takes the contract, right? It's a contract law. God takes the contract, which is the Magna Carta, and he puts the teeth into it, which is called the Bill of Rights and the Bill of Prohibitions, and you're holding it in your hand, right? That's what this is. So the Constitution is actually the teeth that they put in to the Magna Carta. This was never dissolved. The Constitution, as you read it, the Magna Carta, you will understand that all the things that were happening to them was exactly what's happening to us today. And it's because this Bill of Prohibitions is why they created the Constitution, to stop the government from doing these things that they've been doing to us, right? They're not following the law. They changed it. So we're going to go through it really quick. We have also granted to all free men of our realm on the part of ourselves and our heirs forever all the subjoined liberties to have and to hold, to them and to their heirs from us and from our heirs.
Are you wanting to do this whole thing?
I'm not going to.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was just going to jump through a couple things on it, all right? Because this is what I'm saying, we're going to have to do this. I want you to go home. This is your homework. You read it. The ones that I outlined, but you really should read the whole thing. Now, in the end of this, okay, I'm just going to hit some things. So earls and barons shall not be immersed save through their peers and only according to the measure of their offense. You can only charge them, and it has to be through, if you charge them of a crime, it has to be through a jury of their peers, right? Not just whoever the judge picks. And they can stack the juries, okay, to get the outcome that they want. Because the judge in our case said to the jury, we were not allowed to bring a constitution into the courtroom. You weren't allowed to read the Constitution or to quote it. You weren't allowed to talk about God, right? Because everybody can talk about whoever they believe in, right? You don't even have to swear to God on the stand.
But you can't
because
talk about God because you believe in, but everybody else can talk about who they believe in?
Yeah.
they don't allow any belief, because belief is a hearsay. So you can't talk about belief, right? So you can only talk about facts. And in the Magna Carta, they don't even tell you. Oh, so the judge says to the jury, they make them swear, because we're all dumbed down, we don't know. and you will follow the law as I interpret it to you. That's what the judges say in the federal courts to the juries, and they make them swear. You're not allowed to look at anything outside the courtroom. You're not allowed to listen to anybody. You're not allowed to do anything. When we were handing out jury nullifications out on the plaza, and we were trying to get to the jury, two of them turned people in. Said, I got this out on the sidewalk. Do you know what jury nullification means? You have the right to determine whether the law that they're holding you for is constitutional or not. Oh, she said, that's illegal. It is illegal in their court, okay? Because they make up their own rules. They make up their own rules according to the Magna Carta too, because it says you shall have, there's all kinds of things here. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, no free man shall be taken or imprisoned or deceased or outlawed or exiled or in any way harmed, nor will we go upon or send upon him save by the lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land. Look at your Article 7 in the Constitution. Oh, you've all heard it anyway. Amendment 7, okay? In suits at common law, where the controversy is over $20, the right to trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be re-examined in any court of the United States according to the rules of the common law. That ties us right back to the common law Magna Carta. That's where it's important, okay? Now, gosh, you guys are so hard in such a short time. Okay. To none will we sell, to none deny nor delay right of justice. Why? How come it costs you to go to court? How much does it cost you? Who gets paid?
The clerk, the judge,
It's a racket for money.
Racketeering.
yeah.
It's called conspiracy. If the government does it, conspire against you, it's called racketeering.
Yeah.
It's the same law that applies to you if you get for conspiracy. So anybody that works in the court that adheres or helps with that racketeering to steal your money, put you in jail, charge you with unconstitutional charging, right? They're part of racketeering. Those are laws against it. It's called Bill of Prohibitions. Oh, well, because we the people have to stand together and show you how this works, right? So the Fourth Amendment, now Scalia told us there are 4 branches of government. What are they? Executive, legislative, and judicial, right? There's a 4th branch of government, 1995, William versus United States, okay? What does he say? There's a 4th branch of government. What is it called? Common law grand jury. Of the people, by the people, for the people, to hold the other branches accountable. So what happens to him after he gets this past 6 to 3? Oh, Mr. Obama, our friend, who actually put the order in to have LaVoy killed. You can't kill anybody on American soil, an American, unless it comes to the President of the United States, using the FBI and the Oregon State Police. I have 610 emails. Went from Valerie Jarrett to the governor in Oregon, who set up the kill zone to kill us. Obama knows that he cannot have this 4th branch of government. Therefore, he takes out Scalia. Okay, I mean, I know so many things you guys wouldn't want to know what I know. Okay, so anyway.
I do want to know.
It takes days. I have to sleep at your house because we stay up all night. And the last one I just did last week was I stayed up with these poor kids and these young moms and these kids, and they wanted to stay up, and we were up to like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, get up again at 8 o'clock and go at it. And anyway, it's crazy. So, and they say, well, how are you going to enforce this, right? Go to 48. It says, well, let's go back to 45. We will not make men justices, constables, sheriffs, or bailiffs unless they are such as know the law of the realm and are minded to observe it rightly. Stop putting people into office that don't know the law.
Yeah.
How many of them know the law?
They don't.
No, they don't even know. They don't even honor their oath to the Constitution. They don't even know what the Constitution means. They're just doing their job because they weren't taught in school. Huh?
Legal enforcement officer. None of them that I knew at any of these rallies knew who had the most authority. The mayor, he said, can you give me a multiple choice, you know? Mayor, governor, president of the United States, or the sheriff. not one of them got it.
Because they don't get it. Because they haven't understood the law, right? They have not been taught by dumbing us down. And that's why you have to go through David's presentation, because that's exactly was to teach you the history of what happened to our Constitution. That's part 3. So all evil customs concerning, okay, so, and how do we enforce this? And it says right here, all evil customs concerning forests and warrens, concerning foresters and warreners, sheriffs and their servants, riverbanks and their guardians shall straightway be inquired into in each county through what? 12. From that county, and shall be, oh, what does that mean? Entirely, so that they shall never be renewed within 40 days after the inquest has been made. Okay? After they've been found guilty, they shall be eradicated, never to return by 12 sworn nights. Now let me ask you this quick question. If we had a firing squad, how many people have a live shell? One, right? Who knows who has the live shell?
Nobody.
Why?
So they don't feel guilty.
No retaliation. I tell you that if you have a live shell in your gun, you'll know. You'll be the one that knows, but everybody doesn't else know, right? So, well, they might know it's not them, but I'm just telling you, if you're a gunman at all, then you would know that. So let's go back to, when you have an executioner, do you know who he is?
They put a black coat on
He's
it.
got a hood on him because of why?
Retaliation.
Retaliation, exactly the same thing. This is the same thing that they set up to protect the people. You need 12 sworn knights in a county. And they have to know who they are. And I'm telling you that God knows, because see, it was like them, right? You don't know when they're coming, you don't know where they're coming, and you don't know how they're coming, but you know they're coming. Can you fight a ghost? No, right? That's how this worked, so that they had control over the government. This was to keep the government in line.
Did Lavoy get any defense at all? I mean,
None. He hadn't even gone to court. We couldn't even talk about it in the court. That was no trial for Lavoy. The only thing that happened is, because of my video, there were these people, the government, right, that knew that these guys had lied, that they had set up the other people, right? And they ramped up the Oregon State Police because they needed to have access to their highway. It was the FBI guys, and everybody in the FBI will say that they're the supreme, the best, the most honest, the most whatever, right? Because they're the elite of the United States. Excuse me? And you're the most evil. Okay, so everybody's not in there to be bad. They don't know. What you don't know can hurt you. So why does it cost us? Because we have to pay attorneys, we have to pay judges, we have to pay. That's why court costs. Because you see, justice is free. We have a person called Lady of Liberty. What she got on? A mask, right? I mean, a blindfold. She's got a scale in her hands, and it says, bring me, it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor or black or white or bond or free. Just bring me your evidence, and we'll weigh the evidence. And that's called an affidavit. I write an affidavit. This person did this on such and such a day, da, da, da. And when you get to it, you have to, there's a clause that has to say, I swear that the foregoing is true and correct under the penalty of perjury, right? That what I say is true, and it has to be signed and notarized by a notary, which is a part of the government that says that this is who wrote it and this is true. It has to be on every single lawful document, legal document. That's what it says in the law. So he said, so if you bring forth your evidence, and then you say, okay, you bring up your evidence, and let's see who's telling the truth. And then guess what? Whoever's lying is the one that pays the penalty, right? So even if you bring it, so it's not a good idea to bring false charges against somebody, because if you're found guilty, you're the one that's going to pay the penalty, right? So now you have all these environmentalists that do this kind of crap, but they have worked the system. And now it says, this is telling about, okay, and if we cannot be, let's see, This tells how to set up your jury. It says, all fines imposed by us unjustly and contrary to the law of the land, and all amerciaments made unjustly and contrary to the law of the land shall be altogether remitted, or it should be done with regard to them according to the judgment of the who? 25 barons mentioned below as sureties for the peace, or according to the judgment of the majority of them, and with others whom he may wish to associate with himself for this purpose. If he cannot be present, the affair shall nevertheless proceed without him, in such way that if one or more of the said 25 barons shall be concerned in a similar complaint, means if we have a conflict of interest, you'll recuse yourself for that particular purpose. Others being be substituted should be chosen and sworn by the remainder of those 25. Okay, I'm trying to do this really fast because we're in trouble. We have enough time. So this is the way the courts are set up. But we don't have 25. How many do you have in your courts today? 12. Who changed it to 12 from 25? And now we have 9. And now we have 6. That's how many jurors. They're changing it to be whatever they want it to be so that they can get the outcome that they want. Right? Okay. And it says we have to provide, okay, so we shall, if we are abroad to, well, let's see, let me go back here. This is so long. Inasmuch for the sake of God, for the bettering of our realm, and for the more ready healing of the discord which has risen between us and our barons, we have made all these aforesaid concessions, wishing them to enjoy forever entire and firm stability. We make and grant to them the following security, that the barons, namely, may elect at their pleasure 25 barons from the realm who ought with all their strength to observe, maintain, and cause to be observed the peace and privileges which we have granted to them, and confirm by this our present charter. In such wise, namely, that if we, our justice, or our bailiffs, or any one of our servants, shall have transgressed against anyone in any respect, or shall have broken some one of the articles of peace or security, and our transgressions shall have been shown to 4 barons of the foresaid 25. Okay, he brings it back to the other 25, right? And showing to us our error, and they shall ask us to cause that error to be amended without delay. You have to do a demand to amend. I've been wronged by the government. I've been wronged by these whoever, right? It's the federal agents. It's by the sheriff, by the judge, by whoever, the officers that pulled you over. I've been wronged by them. And we have to file out the affidavit. This is what happened. And I swear this is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. And you sign and notarize it. Then you take it to the court. And it's called, and you send a demand to amend without delay. Right? That means give us our justice because they're going against us and wrong. How many people have been arrested with no crime, for no crime? What's a crime? You have to have a victim. No victim, no crime. How many people are arrested have never committed a crime? How many laws have they made that are victimless crimes? How many people are sitting in prison with no victims? Okay? America's terrible for that very reason. Okay. So after the 25 barons, and those 25 barons with the whole land in common, that means all of us, shall distrain and oppress us in every way in their power, namely by taking our castles, our houses, our lands and possessions, and in every other way that they can until amends shall have been made. That's called restitution. According to their judgment, saving the persons of ourselves, our queen, and our children. Means we can take everything away from them, except for their body. We're not killing them. We can take away, but not their wife and not their children. Okay? But everything else, to pay back all of the damage that they've done. And that's what we're doing. That's what happens in the common law, right? But it takes the people, we the people, to stand up and do this. So I'm going to get off of this really quick because it's all for nothing if you don't have freedom. I want you to study that because that's really important. The Magna Carta is probably the most important thing next to the Constitution. But if you don't know the Magna Carta, then you can't. And in the back of these, I actually gave you definitions that will help you understand some of the lingo because, you know, northern Arizona and northern Utah and southern Utah don't always say everything the same, right? So when we have different languages or different terminology, thank you. then we tend to use different words. So we don't always understand what that means. And it's amazing because God sent somebody to help me to do this common law that came from Spain. Understands Latin. What's written in America? Latin is everywhere, and we don't know it. We don't understand it. So a lot of these things were written in Latin. Understands the English law because of that's their law for the whole world, right? And understands this, was sent by God to do this particular thing. And I know it's true. And happens to be a Catholic, okay? But understands what's going on. And the only reason I have followed this, because guess what? In the millennium, it's not going to be the Mormons, right?
It's all God.
It's going to be every one of them. So everybody I have that's on this team are absolutely God-fearing. And they know what they're supposed to do. And they've committed their life to do it, right? And so I'm telling you that He gave me this. I'm trying to teach the people. And so if you want to stay for part 2, I'll do this as fast as I can, but this is what we were teaching in Oregon, why they killed Lavoie. Because this was the simple Constitution as part 2 of why they wanted to take us down. Because the people don't understand the real Constitution. If you understand this, then you will understand why they wanted to be rid of us. And it's, do you have time or do you got to go? I can do it in 30 minutes.
Well, that's okay. Is there some way we can get all your slides so that we can study it at our leisure?
I do not have this on a slide, okay? This is one thing I don't have on the slide because I do it in person.
You're recording and
That'll help.
so.
Yeah, so they could,
But the thing is, they might have to commitments.
Well, she says that they would do it.
So
Let's just do 30
Can we
minutes.
get the 5 slides to talk about without taking your classes? Because we may not have time to do that.
well, we'll probably have to do it on Zoom. I have to go back through some of the stuff so we can finish it.
On Zoom.
Yeah, so we can finish it up before I do that. The reason I'm telling you can't is because this. You will not understand, and no one will sit down and listen to 8 hours of stuff. And because you won't read it, okay?
If we take
Really,
your
you won't.
classes, then we can get the slides.
But see, you know why you're more interested? Because you saw what happened when they killed Lavoie, okay? So those stories are not things I'm going to tell. Everything that I learned came from the experience that I had. And I have to bear testimony of certain things that happened. That's where the connection comes, because nobody's going to sit down and read a book.
So how do we take your courses? Because I'd be interested.
Here's what I do, okay? I'll come wherever. When you guys set up a meeting, right? I don't care how many people you have there, but it's always more the better. But it doesn't matter. And you set it up, and there's one ways to do it. We can do it by Zoom on once a week over Zoom, or because I can't travel that far that many times every week. Anyway, or I come and we make it like a weekend. I found that this was easier for people, but it is a long marathon because I'll start at 6 o'clock on a Thursday night. We'll be done about 9 to 10. On Friday night, we'll do it again, and it'll go from 6 to 9 or 10 because of questions. And then on Saturday, if we start about 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll be done by noon to 2. But that's really that's the quickest way I know how to get through it, and so people can understand it. And
Well,
then,
let's put it out to all the sisters and see if they want to do it that way or like a weekly Zoom. when we
yeah,
get back.
and I've done that before, and they want me to keep coming back. I can't. I can
Yeah.
give you the information, and I got to keep moving because,
Material that we can get?
well, it's all this. It's all my flash drive.
Once we film it though, we can have a place where we can just send
Archive it.
people
Yeah.
to see it.
Yes, you can once you get it on.
Collect the Zoom situation. I think it's a lot easier for most people to schedule.
Yeah.
A whole chunk of time like that's hard.
It is difficult. It is difficult for people. It is, because after 3 days I can barely talk. So, but
Oh, so fast.
I know.
Go back and study.
I agree. I agree with you because it is, and then I have to talk fast trying to slam it in. But I really want to try this. We'll see if we can do it on this presentation real fast, just because this is the basis that everybody should know that you are not taught at school.